Welcome, Amie Thomasson, theoretical philosopher. Classical philosophical authors inspire dedicated areas of scholarship. Your philosophical contributions are often regarded as offering neo-Carnapian perspectives, revitalizing some of Rudolf Carnap's philosophical classics. What's it like to be a neo-Carnapian?
In the United States, where I work and live, I'd say mostly it's lonely. I think there was so much enthusiasm for bringing back metaphysics after Carnap's time that most of my colleagues in philosophy in the United States are really excited about doing metaphysical investigations and therefore really suspicious of the attempts to deflate them that come from Carnapians like myself. On the other hand, I think having the label neo-Carnapian has been very helpful to me. At first, it helped me sort of identify a community of similarly minded people scattered around the world, as well as Carnap's seminal work in finding a route through these issues that could be an inspiration. So I think having that label has been very helpful to finding the community there is, instead of just feeling lonely among the metaphysics community that doesn't take kindly to these kinds of criticisms.
Suppose we are a scientific community that at some point needs an explication for the concept of philosophical style. What would you start with?
Yeah, good question. So I think, as always, if you're doing a kind of explication of a concept, I would want to start by asking what the function of the concept has been or is supposed to be as we move forward. So why might we want a concept of philosophical style? I think one thing at least we might want it for is to identify commonalities in the kind of approach to philosophical problems that different writers and thinkers can have. Maybe even if they're not historically linked and part of a historical movement or tradition. So in this way, you might try to identify, say, a similarity of philosophical style between, say, David Hume and some of his sort of anti-metaphysical work and Buddhism of certain varieties. And maybe between both of them and Daniel Dennett, for example, right? Even if they don't refer to each other, even if maybe Hume didn't know the Buddhist work. So I can see a kind of nice use for the concept in trying to identify these kinds of similarities and approaches to problems that don't necessarily hinge on a historical connection.
Let us imagine we are co-authoring a groundbreaking contribution titled On Easiness, expanding on your easy approach to traditional philosophical questions. Could the easy approach evolve from a philosophical methodology into a full-fledged lifestyle?
Maybe. It's interesting to think about it. I mean, I think it does fit with some of my commitments about how to live. Here's some connections, at least. I think it would fit with a unpretentiousness, a desire to never look like you're appealing to something sort of deep and mysterious and unknown that you can't really make good on or clarify how you could possibly know it. I think it fits with an approach to life that involves being explicit and upfront about when we are the ones who have to be making difficult practical decisions rather than pretending that we're sort of reading the truth off of what religion tells us or metaphysics or something like that. In this way, I think it has some commonalities with the existentialist tradition, and I teach that work all the time and have some real affinities with that too. I think it also is tied to a kind of commitment to clarity, to trying to be clear about what's the basis for the decisions we make and the claims we have to know something, and trying to break things down into sort of clear terminology and reasoning that anyone can understand. So those are at least some aspects of the easy approach to ontology that I think fit with a kind of attitude towards life.
Thank you very much for answering our 3 questions.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.